Okay, what did he do that was the first thing he did that bore witness to who he was? No, that bore witness to himself and John, but to the people. What was it that got the people's attention?
Miracles.
Okay, and the miracles was of what? The miracles was of what? Yeah, and that was what? A what?
A sign.
No? What kind of witness was all these miracles? No? All these miracles were the works of Jesus. They were His works.
So His first witness was His works?
Yeah. That's the first witness. The works of the disciple bear witness to Him as a true teacher. The second thing that got everybody really wondering who He was and got everybody stirred up was something else besides His works. What were they?
His words.
His words. And the Pharisees and Sadducees came to Him and says, "Where did you get this doctrine from? And who gave you authority to teach these things? Where did you learn this?" And His words just caused a tremendous impression on everybody. He said things totally different than ever been said before. If a man comes to you and wants you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles. Nobody had said anything like that before. Everybody thought, boy, somebody compels me to go 1 mile, I'm going to get out of even going that 1 mile. This is at all possible. But in those days, if a Roman soldier came to you and says, "Carry my pack for 1 mile," by law in the Roman Empire, you had to do it or you could get thrown in jail. So everybody carried it for 1 mile, but when they were done with the 1 mile, they stopped at exactly 1 mile and quit carrying it for him, because then they were out as able to escape the legal repercussions. They couldn't punish him if they carried it 1 mile. So whenever a Roman soldier approached somebody, they didn't go 1 mile and 1 foot. They only went 1 mile because they didn't like these Roman soldiers. But Jesus says, if somebody compels you to go 1 mile, go 2. How do you think that would affect a Roman soldier? Everybody only goes 1 mile and then they say, "Now, yes, carry it yourself." And here comes a follower of Christ and he says, "I'll carry 2 miles for you." The soldier thinks, "Wow, that's weird." Impressed. He says, if somebody smites you on one cheek, turn the other cheek. These words really made an impression on people. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. Love God first. This is the first great commandment. The second is love your neighbor as yourself. On this commandment hangs every law and every prophet, every commandment that's ever been given, and all the scriptures hangs on this one thing. Wow, nobody heard that before. This is one thing. It's not 10 commandments. It's not thousands of little things that the Jews had that they had to do, like for obeying the Sabbath. I can't remember how many regulations, but I think it was a couple thousand things they had to memorize if they really wanted to obey the Sabbath correctly. For instance, on the Sabbath, you couldn't wear sandals with any metal or nails in the sandals because that added weight and that caused more work to lift the sandals up and down. I mean, just
you
real.
cannot find the latest edition of the Harry Potter book on the Sabbath.
Right. But they had hundreds of little rules. You could take so many steps on the Sabbath day, so you needed to count your steps. If you took more than 1,222 steps, or however many it was, then you broke the Sabbath. You just had to quit walking. Wait till the next day.
You take your meals the day before so that you're not working on the Sabbath.
Right. They had all these regulations because we're going to perfect obeying the Sabbath so that we can really please God. And Jesus says when his disciples were walking through a wheat field, the disciples picked a handful of wheat to eat it, and the Pharisees saw him. They said, "Aha! You guys are working on the Sabbath. You're harvesting wheat." I mean, that's how fussy they were. But Jesus hit them with something entirely different. On this law of love hangs every commandment that you've ever been given. You can obey it properly if you understand it. And do you think the authorities like that? Because if you understood that one law of love, all of a sudden, all these authorities that told you all these little regulations, and people come to them, well, do you think I'm obeying the Sabbath if I do this, if I feed my ox before sundown or whatever? Well, I don't know. And so these authorities get all this recognition for being an authority on how to obey all the commandments. But if you listen to Jesus, none of the authorities now were needed. And so His words burn like a fire through the hearts of His enemies, and it caused them to hate Him. And it burned like a fire in the hearts of the pure in heart, because it gives them hope to getting out of this mess that they were in, where they had to memorize thousands of old rules if they wanted to please God. And so the two witnesses to the disciple, whether it be Jesus or a follower of Jesus, are His words and His works. Now let's read on.